Ladies and gentlemen, it is here. It's the most wonderful time of the year. We got shoulders a clacking and helmets a racking, interceptions appear. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Hey everybody, I'm your host at Granite Gato, also known as the Big Cat. This is 1995 The Roar. Restoring the Roar. This is a channel by a fan for the fans. Man, listen, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, like, share the channel, man. Week 1 is here. Carolina Panthers football is here. A brand new, hope-inspired field week 1, man. Will the Carolina Panthers pull off a road upset, or will this be the beginning of our despair for the season? Before we get into that, I got a new segment for you guys. How about we make a little money in the Lock of the Week? On this week's new segment, Lock of the Week, I try to give you guys a surefire game prop from a player that I believe will cash easily. Now, just a tidbit of information. I'm not an insider, nor am I a gambling expert. This is strictly based off of what I know about my team and based off research giving the game that's coming up. With that being said, let's take a look at what today's player prop is. T-Mac or T-Rod McMillan over 23.5 longest yards. Now, if you guys have been paying attention all off season, they have been making a priority to get the ball down the field. Last year, the Carolina Panthers were one of the worst teams when it comes to getting the ball down the field, mainly because of drops. Now, good thing for us, we took a top 10 wide receiver who specializes in catching the ball. So in the offseason and in training camp, they have been taking shots. I think this catches easily given the cornerback wide receiver matchup. He's good for at least one big play. Now, I don't know if he could be multiple, but I think this is a pretty easy cash. Now, because I love you, I'm going to give you guys another player prop today, and it's coming from the same guy, T-Rod McMillan. I think he's in for a big day. I don't trust Jacksonville's cornerbacks, and even if this game is a wash, let's say this team gets blown out, I still think Bryce is going to be looking for him early and often, and he's going to be worth the price of admission. That's my player prop for today's Lock of the Week. Make sure you pair it with something, and again, make sure you gamble with discretion. Do not chase your losses, all right? With that being said, let's move on to our next segment, the first roar. All right, on today's first roar, it's time to say football season is back. Let's do woosah. It's back, y'all. Man, and I got to tell you, man, I'm glad it's back. Carolina Panthers will be facing off with the Jacksonville Jaguars this Sunday down in Jacksonville. I got to start off by letting you guys know that it's not so bad, right? It's not so bad at all. Although this team is probably going to be a work in progress this year, I do expect for a competitive ball game. These teams are almost a near splitting image of one another. And unfortunately, the Carolina Panthers, as of late, have had some unfortunate injury news, with the left tackle having appendix surgery, emergency appendix surgery. We had Adam Thielen being traded, pretty much leaving us with a depleted wide receiver roster full of inexperienced guys. But you also have Jalen Coker, a guy who I thought was the unsung hero, ready to take the next step. He ended up tweaking his quad in practice. So the really only good news looking forward to this game is that we get to see Hunter Renfrow return along with Bryce Young. What would he look like? But I got to start off by letting you guys know, I'm expecting still the best for us. Outside of the teams both coming in at the same time. I mean, in 1995, literally, man, the Jaguars have had moderate success. Their last playoff game, probably one of the best playoff games of all time, in which Trevor Lawrence, showed up and showed out in Jacksonville when they upset the Chargers in a big comeback win. But outside of that, they haven't been in there since 2018. So both teams with promising defenses, two quarterbacks that we're both waiting to see whether they're going to take the next step or not. You got some young talent on offense that you hopefully lives up to it. And defensively, you got some pieces that are Pro Bowlers or Pro Bowl caliber. But, to say that one side has the freer advantage than the other, I don't think you have done your research here. So look forward to a competitive ball game here, and you'll be surprised about the outcome. With that being said, let's move on to our next take, and where we take a deeper look into the key matchups in the Cats game. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go with the Cat Scan Week 1. Man, I want you guys to pay attention to 3 critical key matchups here. The first being the offensive line of Jacksonville Jaguars. According to ProFootballFocus.com, they had an overall grade of 69.9, which roughly translates to about a D. Places them about 22nd out of 32. This is important, right? The Carolina Panthers spent a lot of money when it comes to their defensive line and upgrading it. So we're going to have to take full advantage of that when it comes to that matchup, in which I do think we have the slight edge favor here. Last year, that same offensive line also allowed 6 sacks on 61 passing plays and 17 pressures in the first two games of the season, which is beautiful because that lets me know that right off the gate, coming out of preseason training camp, that it took a little bit for them to gel. And based off what I've seen, they lost, I think, Brandon Sharif and a few more other offensive linemen as well. So I have reason to believe that that number still will be pretty high as far as that, you know what I mean? So we spent money on Trayshawn Wharton, you know what I mean? We got Bobby Brown in there, hold down the nose. And then you got Derek Brown, who's not necessarily known for being a pass rusher, but he can influence the pocket. So I think we definitely have to get to Trevor Lawrence early and often. If we don't do that, I mean, last thing you want to do is give Trevor Lawrence, a guy who is streaky in himself, time to sit back there and find Brian Thomas Jr., okay? Another thing about this offensive line is the run blocking grade here. This run block is middle of the road, okay? 57.2, 26th ranked overall. Look, I want you to look how pathetic this is. And I know I'm a Panther fan, so who you calling pathetic and all the other good stuff, but 1.26 yards before contact. So that means the running back absolutely got 1.26 yards. That's how much space, how much yardage that the offensive line get at running back. So no wonder they couldn't run the ball efficiently. And again, I think they actually downgraded from last year, missing their pieces. So, I mean, when you look at the matchup, right, a lot of people are just going Travis Hunter crazy, Brian Thomas Jr. crazy. There's more to look at. I'm looking at the essentials, all right? Football is won or lost in the trenches. And when I look at the pressures allowed last year, and I look at the sacks allowed last year by the Jags, and I look at the run blocking from last year, and those are areas that we upgraded on the opposite side of the ball for our defensive line. I'm talking about this trench-on-trench warfare. I have to give the nod to Carolina. I don't care what else has happened so far. We'll get to that later, but I'm giving the edge to Carolina, and if we take full advantage of that, I promise you the Panthers are going to come out victorious. The second key point I want you guys to focus on is the secondary. Now, the Jaguars secondary gave up about 218.6 passing yards per game, which roughly translates to about a total of 3,700 passing yards, ranking them one of the worst. Now, why is that important? Well, the Panthers have a very, very young receiving core, and they got some favorable matchups here. Shout out to Tyson Campbell, former Georgia Bulldog, Gold Dog, sick him here. They lost a couple pieces. They lost Andre Cisco, right? They lost Ronald Darby. I mean, this secondary is literally just a project or experiment. So when I look at the secondary, you got Tyson Campbell, who played in 12 games, 59 total tackles, had a 6 pass deflection, and also had a 6.29 overall grade, which is 103 out of 220. When I look at the matchups here, this is favorable. We got offensive line, defensive line, favorable matchup. Although we're young and experienced, sometimes talent just outbeats the other man's talent. We may not have that experience like a Tyson Campbell or Darnell Savage, who is on the bench from what I'm going to show you here in a minute. Darnell Savage played in 13 games, over 51 tackles, 6 pass breakup, and 1 interception. But I like it. I mean, this is where you got to show up. We spent our draft pick on the top 10 tick to Rob McMillan, who I have absolute confidence that he's going to ball out this game. I'm thinking about a touchdown, maybe north of 80 yards receiving. This secondary is really a snooze fest. So because of that right there, I got to say I'm liking us on the wide receiver game. As long as we got time, right? That's the key thing there. They got a couple of rookies. They got Jerron Jackson, a guy who played last year coming out of Florida State, I believe. He was a average zone coverage cornerback. But he's a pretty good man cornerback. He will blitz and will get to the quarterback. He does play the run good. So Tyson Campbell on one side, Jerron Jackson on the other side. The safety that replacing Darnell Savage, his name is, I think it's Andrew Woodburn. He literally graded out as a 71, probably one of the best safety on the team. But that was after week 13, right? So he came in week 13. From week 13 to the end of week 17, he had a 71, which is nice, but there's no experience there. So you got to believe me, man. This matchup is so creamy. It just, you know what I mean? Creamy matchup. I mean, you're not going to get any more sweeter than this. This team is sweet, dog. This offensive line for the Jags is sweet. This offensive line for the Jags is sweet. This secondary is sweet. I mean, at this point, if we lose, it's going to be on us, all right? So those are the two matchups I want you to pay attention to. And the last but not least matchup is this pass rush versus our offensive line. Now, look, man, look. I'm going to shoot you no lie. I shoot you no lie. Overall, as a team, they had 27% pass rush win rate, which was dead last, right? When it comes to stopping the run, they were 28th run stopping win rate, which was 27. So overall, as a team, when it comes to pass rushing and when it comes to run stopping, they were at the bottom. So wait. Let's not celebrate just yet. Let's not throw a party so fast, okay? Now, although I'm excited about those numbers here, they have two guys who will, and I think can, get to Bryce Young early and often. And those guys are named Trayvon Walker and Joshua Allen here. Man, if you look on your screen, Trayvon Walker had a pressure percentage rate of 14.9%. He hit the quarterback at over 19 times. Turnover pressure rate, 1.8%. One of the best in the league. My guy got cold busy, man. You know what I mean? So, I mean, although as a team, they're not very good. I mean, overall, you know what I mean? Josh Allen is on the opposite side. He had a total of 8 sacks with 67 quarterback pressures. I mean, these guys can get to you. These are two guys that can take over a game, right? So when I look at guys that take over a game, I honestly say this. You have to find a way to neutralize them, okay? I know Akeem Ekwonu's out. I think Damian Lewis is dealing with some injuries. The best way to neutralize them is to run at them in the middle, right? So with Bryce Young, Akeem Ekwonu dealing with his appendix, they're saying he's day-to-day, which, you know, I don't know what that exactly does that mean. Does that mean that he's fine enough, or does, you know what I mean? Will he be, you know, I don't know. I never had appendix surgery. I know they said modern day technology, things should work out. But let's say I'm ruling him out, okay? We got to neutralize both of these edge rushers. And their defensive line in the middle, you got Dalvin Hamilton, and you also got Daron Armstead. And, I mean, he's mid. I mean, he's been with the Niners, with the Colts. He's been passed around for a lot. He's up there in age. So that's where our strength is. You know, that's where the Robert Hunts, that's where, you know, you got Lewis there. You also got, what's the center there? We got our center there as well, man. So at the end of the day, you have to take full. This is the game where you go head first and you tell them three people, them 2 guards and that 1 center, push the middle of this line. Chuba needs to have north about 22 carries, right? That happens, you slow down the pass rush, man, now you make the game one-dimensional, right? So that's what we got to do. We got to kind of make it one-dimensional overall. But at the end of the day, man, I mean, it's easier said than done. There's 2 things you don't want to do. You don't want this game to come down to this edge rush and just having a free fall, and you don't want this game coming out to Brian Thomas Jr. just taking over, right? It'll be sad to see us just show up and our defensive line is beating this offensive line, and stopping the run, but our secondary just getting torched by Brian Thomas Jr., right? We've seen this before. We've seen it with Julio Jones. We've seen Tyreek Hill take over a game against us in the past. So those are 2 critical things we can't do, all right? Let them get their yardage and their points underneath, get their yardage and stuff underneath. But don't allow for nobody to take over the game. Don't allow for this edge rusher just to dictate to us, right? And you definitely don't want to get behind, right? You get behind, now you got to put the ball in Bryce's arm, which I don't think is a very smart decision. But those are 3 critical matchups for you guys to watch. Make sure you get in the comment section. You guys let me know what you think about those takes here. And then what are your 3 critical matchups? With that being said, we're going to move on to a new segment called Back to School, where we take a look at a college prospect that could help the Panthers in the future. All right, you guys asked for it. Today's first episode of Back to School. We're here to take a look at some college prospects that could be on the Carolina Panthers roster. Today, we're here to talk about a promising defensive end / edge rusher, more likely an edge rusher in the NFL, by the name of Tobias Anasanami, okay, which means the big son, I'm sorry. Now, this guy already, it's only been 2 weeks, week 0, week 1 in college football, has already made a name for himself. He plays for Kansas State. He's an outside edge rusher, or he does line up at the end at sometimes. And he's 6'3", 250 pounds, and he has put on a clinic. Over in Ireland, when they took on Iowa State, he had back-to-back sacks down in the goal line. And last week, I think they played a sub FCS school, and he had 1 sack in that game, man. Last year, he was a rotational defensive end, where he had total 19 tackles, 5 of those being for loss, 3.5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble from a rotational position, right? Not the main guy. And 31 total tackles on special teams. He has met near halfway that mark when it comes to sacks. He's at 3 sacks. Last year, he had 3.5 sacks from a backup role. I mean, when you look at him on film, he's explosive. I can't show you guys the film because of the college rights, and I don't want to get a copyright. But when you look at film, this guy can do it all. I mean, he used to be a safety coming out of high school, man. But he was such a force where he could put on a couple more pounds. They moved him down to the linebacker spot. Now they even have him playing at end occasionally. What I like about him is his size, right? He's almost about DJ Wonnum's size. DJ Wonnum, I believe, 6'4", could be 6'5", but you like those guys with those long physical arms. He will explode. He will turn around and be hard to come off that edge. And that's what we need. A lot of people look at the Carolina Panthers roster, and then, they're like, well, we just took 2 edge rushers and Nick Scorton and Princey Manley. I mean, you can never have enough edge rushers, right? As long as you got guys like the Patrick Mahomes running around here and Joe Burrows and everybody, you can't have enough edge rushers. And I think he could be a steal. And matter of fact, I think going late in the season, you're going to see more, especially when it comes to divisional conference games, man. You're going to see more of an impact that he has made here. But if you ask me, man, you got Trevion Wallace, you got Scorton, Princey Manley, you got DJ Wonnum, who probably more than likely, after his contract year, he's probably not going to be here. You want to keep that fresh young blood in there, and I think this would be a great fit, man. He takes on Army this weekend, Friday night against Army. Be sure to check it out. I know a lot of you guys not impressed by Army, but I'm telling you right now that, look, if you get a chance to watch him, just pay attention that this could be a future Carolina Panther, all right? He does get a little sticky sometimes when it comes to getting off blocks. Doesn't give me all that much of a concern there, you know what I mean? Just something that he needs to work on. But ultimately, his upside, they call him the Nigerian Nightmare, believe it or not, man. And if you watch tape and you look at him, man, I think he's going to live up to that name as we go along. Keep your eye on him this week as he takes on Army and throughout the regular season. And that was it for today's first take Back to School. All right, 95er sound off. Look, we're here to read you guys' comment. If you want your comment read on air, make sure it's thought-provoking, engaging, or even funny, man. I'll give you a chance to read it. Today's take comes from Jason Smith 459. I gotta say this. He says it will be a few seasons to fix this very poor decisions made since the new owner came to Carolina. It looks like we are through the worst of this mess since David Tepper took a step back. Now letting the GM and others do their job. Keep pounding. Shout out to you, Jason Smith. Thank you for your support. I definitely appreciate that, man. It goes a long way. If you haven't already by this point in the video, make sure you subscribe, share, hit the like button. I definitely would say this. I know the growing pains of developing or rebuilding is uncomfortable, okay? Been a Panther fan since about 1999, probably early 2000s here. And I definitely got to say some decisions have gotten better. since David Tepper has taken a hands-off approach, even though he may verbally say that, you know what I mean? I don't honestly think, whenever you're worth $14 billion, you're not completely taking your hands off of nothing, but at least you're not as loud and as boisterous as, he's been in the past. So I agree with you. I think we're through the worst of it, and the best is soon to come. I like what we're doing defensively. I think this year will be more of an evaluation year for Bryce Young. You know what I mean? I mean, you got him everything he needs. You got him offensive line, $100 million offensive line. I mean, you beefed up the defensive line, Trayshawn Wharton, Bobby Brown. You got Derrick Brown there. I mean, literally, you got him a 1,100-yard running back, and then you follow that up by giving him a backup running back who rushed for 1,000 yards. I mean, you got him as top 10 wide receiver, who's known to have one of the best hands in college football the year before. I mean, for God's sakes, I mean, at this point, I mean, we can blame Tepper and everything, and I do blame him as far as the development of the product that's been on the field. But at this point, sometimes you gotta, get on the pot and poop or get off of it. And right now, I think this is that point for Bryce Young. But ultimately, man, I think the decision making behind the scenes has gotten slightly better, right? I'm not one to go out my way and sit here and say that it's just gurus in there, right? There's still some question marks. I mean, as far as why we didn't take a right tackle, who I believe that we needed. We poured over $40 million into a right tackle who's been hurt the last couple of years on his last leg. We could have drafted a protege, you know what I mean? The cornerback room, still questions about that. I mean, J.C. Horn had one good season after an injury-long career, and then Mike Jackson, a guy who's, had one good season. We paid him. So, I mean, let's tone it down as far as the overpraising, but I will give them their credit. They did do a good job with the Nick Gortons of the world and some other pieces. So, yeah, I'm with you, brother. The worst is over at this point, man. We just got a few more things to think about, and hopefully we can come up out this funk, man. And that's been it for today's episode when it comes to 95ers Sound Off. Let's move on to the last segment, the last growl. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't already, mash on that subscribe button, like button, share. Week 1 is here. Can I get a 95ers roar? If you're a 95er out there, let me hear your roar, man. All right? Hey, look, today's my last growl. I want to say this, man. Football's back. I mean, win, lose, draw. Keep pounding, man. I mean, simply just keep pounding, man. It's gonna be a journey, right? Make sure you tune in Friday night. Tune in Wednesday night. We will be going live, kind of a midweek, kind of summary on the game here. And Sunday we will be live as well during the game. I'll be giving you play-by-play feedback here. I don't know about you guys, but I'm expecting for the Carolinas to come out and put on a admirable showing, and I think they're gonna pull it off, right? So make sure you tune in on Wednesday, and I'll give my final score prediction. But I still think it's in our favor, right? When I look at everything behind the scenes, there's a lot of hurdles, and I don't think it's going to be easy, you know what I mean? But I think we're in a good position here, man. But I'm just so pumped that Panthers football is back here, man. Hopefully we can start it off in the right way. I'm your host, Grande Gato, also known as the Big Cat. This is 1995 The Roar, a channel for the fans, by the fans, all right? Make sure you haven't already, hit the like button, share, subscribe. Follow me on Spotify. Consider joining the Discord, right? I got the Discord and the Spotify links in there. I know a lot of you guys are probably private, but if you want to chat with us and have a build a community, it's free, okay? Spotify as well. I'm going to start back recording on there as we start the season off. Man, get in the comment section. Let me know what you think about today's episode. What do you think about the new installments that I added? What do you think about that? College football takes, and also the lock of the week, man. Try to get you guys some coins, man. I appreciate any feedback. Thank you guys for your time, donations, and all that, and much more. Until next time, pause up, 95ers, let me hear you roar.